You watched every episode of The Testament Season 1. You followed every twist, every whisper, every moment Aunt Lydia gave that look that made your skin crawl. But here's the thing. The show was talking to you in a language running underneath everything you saw, and most people did not catch a single word of it. The writers buried over 30 hidden details inside this season. Some of them are blink-and-you-miss-it moments. Some of them are hiding inside a costume, a doorway, or a single line of dialogue that sounds completely ordinary on the surface. And some of them change the way you understand the entire season once you know what you are looking at. By the end of this video, you are going to want to go back and rewatch every episode from the beginning. So let us get into it, starting with the details that connect the Testaments directly back to the Handmaid's Tale. Because the very first sound you heard in this show was already hiding something. Before you saw a single face, before a single line of dialogue was spoken, before the show even gave you a title card, there was a voice on a radio. Most people heard it and moved on, treating it like background noise setting up the world. But that voice was not random at all. That was Stephen Colbert. Yes, the late-night host was cast as the announcer for Radio Free America, the secret broadcast station that the American resistance uses to send messages into Gilead. And here's where the hidden detail kicks in. That exact role, the Radio Free America announcer, was played by Oprah Winfrey back in Season 2, Episode 11 of The Handmaid's Tale. The showrunners made a deliberate choice to cast another massive, real-world name in that same seat. It is a passing of the torch. It is the show saying that the voice of hope and resistance is bigger than any one person. Most viewers had no idea who they were even listening to in that opening moment, which means they missed the entire point of why that casting choice was made. Detail 2. Elizabeth Moss was there and nobody knew. This one is genuinely remarkable when you think about how they pulled it off. Elizabeth Moss, the face of The Handmaid's Tale for 6 full seasons, came back for The Testaments, and the production kept it completely secret until the first 3 episodes dropped on April 8th. Her voice appears on that same radio broadcast in the opening scene. June Osborne is alive. She is still with Mayday. She is still fighting. And the show tells you this in the very first minute before most people have even settled into their couch. The cameo was hidden in plain sight inside a scene that casual viewers were not paying close enough attention to. Then, in Episode 3, you get more. Flashback scenes with Daisy fill in what June has been doing since the end of The Handmaid's Tale. If you blinked during the opening, you missed the most important piece of information the show gave you all season. Right alongside June on that radio, if you were listening carefully, was another voice that meant a great deal to longtime fans. Sam Yeager, who played Agent Twello, the American military and CIA operative who helped lead the liberation of Boston and helped Serena Joy escape Gilead, is heard on that same broadcast. His voice is there in the opening seconds, and what it confirms is something the show never stops to explain out loud. Twello is still alive. The fight for Boston, the ongoing war between what is left of the American military and Gilead's forces, it is still happening. The girls inside the Aunt Lydia school have no idea how close the outside world is closing in. The show drops this massive piece of world building inside a radio clip that most people treated as atmosphere. It is not atmosphere. It is the entire political backdrop of the season, compressed into a few seconds of sound. Every fan of The Handmaid's Tale knows that Agnes Mackenzie, the girl at the center of the Testaments, is really Hannah Bancole. She is June and Luke's daughter. She was taken from her family when Gilead rose to power, given a new name, placed with the commander's family, and raised inside the regime with no memory of who she actually is. The Testaments does not announce this. It does not put up a title card reminding you. It trusts that you either already know or that you will feel the weight of it gradually as the season moves forward. Agnes moves through her life with total confidence in who she is. And the horror of that is the detail. Gilead did not just take her body. It took her entire identity and replaced it so completely that she walks around every day not knowing she is living someone else's life. That is the hidden cruelty the show embeds inside every single one of Agnes's scenes, and it only lands if you are carrying the knowledge from the original series with you. In Episode 2, there is a flashback. It is brief. It lasts maybe 30 seconds on screen, and most people who were not deeply familiar with The Handmaid's Tale probably had no idea who they were looking at. Amy Landecker came back to reprise her role as Tabitha Mackenzie, the woman who was Agnes's Gilead mother, the commander's wife who raised her before dying. This is not a small detail. Tabitha was a character in The Handmaid's Tale, and her death is something Agnes references in Episode 1 as a wound she is still carrying. Seeing Tabitha alive in a memory, warm and present, reframes everything about how Agnes carries herself in the present. She is not just an obedient Gilead girl. She is a grieving daughter, and that flashback, buried quietly in the middle of Episode 2, is the key that unlocks Agnes's emotional foundation for the rest of the season. If you were not watching carefully in Episode 7, you missed Amanda Brugel. She came back as Rita Blue, the Martha who worked in the Waterford household all through The Handmaid's Tale, in a flashback scene set in Toronto. The scene reveals that Rita is still actively working with Mayday. More than that, it reveals that Rita and Daisy crossed paths through June before Daisy ever committed herself to the Resistance. This single scene quietly redraws the map of how Mayday operates. It shows that the network is personal, built on trust between specific people, passed down through relationships rather than institutions. Rita handing that connection to Daisy through June is the Underground Railroad of this story. And it is sitting inside Episode 7 with almost no fanfare, waiting to be noticed. There is a detail that runs through the entire season not as a scene, but as an absence. Gilead lost Boston. The American military pushed them back. This is an enormous geopolitical shift in this world, the kind of thing that should be reshaping daily life for everyone inside the regime. And in the Testaments, it is mentioned, but only in whispers. Only in the way the ministers react with discomfort around certain topics. Only in the way information is carefully kept away from the girls at the Aunt Lydia school. The show does not give you a news broadcast or a scene where someone explains what happened. It trusts you to feel the tension of information being withheld, and it hides the crumbling of Gilead inside the nervousness of the people who are supposed to be in charge. That is a writing choice that rewards the viewers who are paying attention to what is not being said. When we last saw Aunt Lydia at the end of The Handmaid's Tale, she was powerful but operating within a very specific role, disciplining and managing the handmaids. In the Testaments, she has been elevated. She now runs the most prestigious school in Gilead for the daughters of commanders. She has a statue of herself at the entrance of the building. She is not just a figure of fear anymore. She is a figure of mythology. And that shift in her status is a hidden detail about how Gilead itself has changed. The regime is not expanding outward right now. It is consolidating inward, elevating its most loyal servants, building legends around them to keep the next generation obedient. Aunt Lydia being turned into a monument while she is still alive is one of the most quietly disturbing details in the entire season, and it is easy to walk right past it if you are not thinking about what it means.